From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Monday, July the 3rd, 2023. The IDF, together with Israel's security agency, the Shin Bet, launched a major counter-terror operation in the Jenin refugee camp early this morning. The camp, located in the West Bank in northern Samaria, is known as a main base of Palestinian terrorism. And the counter-terror operation is said to be Israel's largest there in 20 years, with some 1,000 troops reportedly taking part. The Times of Israel quoted a senior government official saying that the goal of this extensive operation is to end Jenin's role as a city of refuge for terror, with the IDF noting that since the beginning of last year, some 56 shooting attacks have been carried out by terrorists from Jenin. IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said the purpose of this operation is to thwart terrorist infrastructure, attack terrorists, arrest wanted persons. He noted that the security forces also attacked the unified headquarters of terror groups in Jenin, known as the Jenin Battalion, which Hagari explained was also used as an observation post and a gathering place and contact center for armed terrorists before and after a terrorist activity. Israeli forces also destroyed a laboratory for the production and storage of explosives. The IDF also shared images of a mosque in Jenin that was, it said, packed with loads of ammunition and 2 underground pits containing explosive devices. This, they said, is just one example of how terrorists abuse the citizens of Jenin. We will continue operating until the terrorists of Jenin are no longer a threat on the stability of the area. During the operation today, Israeli troops came under heavy gunfire and returned fire. The Palestinian Authority's health ministry said that 8 Palestinians were killed, several of whom were already confirmed as members of armed terrorist groups. Dozens were also arrested. Hagari was cited by the Times of Israel saying, "We did not come to occupy the refugee camp. This is not an operation against the Palestinian Authority, but against the terror groups in Jenin." The IDF also strongly refuted claims that airstrikes targeted a theater in Jenin, calling this fake news and saying the IDF is only operating against terrorist infrastructures. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a joint security assessment with Israel's defense minister, the IDF chief of staff, and others on the progress of the operation in Jenin and was briefed on the situation. The Times of Israel citing the prime minister after the sit-down, saying, "In recent months, Jenin has become a haven for terrorism. We are putting an end to it," noting the IDF was operating in a densely populated area, and he said they are doing it with minimal harm to civilians. Netanyahu saying this operation will change the equation against terrorism. Opposition leaders Yair Lapid and Benny Gantz also shared their support for the operation, Gantz saying, "We are all one front against terrorism." Turning now to some other news, protests against the judicial overhaul in Israel continue, with groups blocking access to the port of Haifa this morning and also demonstrating at Ben Gurion International Airport, where there were some clashes noted with police and several demonstrators were arrested. This as legislation moves ahead at Israel's Knesset today to push the reforms forward. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Tom Nides referred to the overhaul situation in a 4th of July celebration held today at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. This just a week before Nides steps down from his role. He said, "Like all democracies, we are both works in progress, imperfect, but striving to live up to our founding ideals." Netanyahu spoke at the event as well, calling the U.S. Israel's irreplaceable and indispensable ally. He said, "America has provided Israel with moral and political backing against those who would wipe us out, the only Jewish state." Also noting the current counter-terror op in Jenin, as did President Isaac Herzog at the event, who said, "We share the obstinate hope that even as we fight, we do so towards the ultimate goal of peace and prosperity for all. Herzog saying, may the land of the free and the home of the brave and this land of Israel know only peace, prosperity, and success. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Monday, July the 3rd. At 7 o'clock, Jane Ziegelman talks about the habits of immigrants living in Lower East Side tenements in the early part of the 20th century. At 7:30, Eric Goldman speaks with Karen Heilig about Reckonings, the untold true story of Jewish and German leaders meeting in secret to grapple with the first reparations in history. At 8, Abigail Pogrebin speaks with award-winning documentary producer and the sister of acclaimed filmmaker Steven Spielberg, Nancy Spielberg, who shares her thoughts on her brother's film based on their family, the Fabelmans. At 8:30, Pogrebin speaks with president of the Tenement Museum in New York City. At 9, Shelley Fisher is on L'chaim. At 10, Bernard-Henri Levy talks about the changing role of America on the global political scene. And coming up next, it's Good Week Israel. And that's the JBS News Update for Monday, July the 3rd, 2023. I'm Teisha Bader. I will be back with the news on Wednesday, July the 5th, wishing you a happy and safe 4th of July.